Welcome to the Resilient Mindset Podcast, an exciting new podcast by Resilience Queen, Justine Martin. Justine is the owner and founder of the Resilient Mindset, a division of the Justine Martin Corporation. Justine draws on her years of experience and knowledge consulting with clients to develop and sustain a positive mindset. Focused on igniting your passion, purpose and power, follow the Resilience Queen each week as she delves into the mind of her guests, exploring fascinating stories and inspiring journeys.
Welcome back, listeners, to Morpheus Publishing's Author Spotlight. Today we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're actually going to talk about my new book, and I've actually got my writing coach on the line today, Andrew Jobling, who's going to interview me. So I'm going to hand it all over to Andrew.
Hello, Justine.
Hi, Andrew.
How are you?
I'm okay.
I don't want to hear okay. You should be buzzing. I saw this video of you unwrapping a box of books and you looked excited like a child on Christmas morning. You did?
I was excited opening up that big box of books. And believe it or not, that big box of books only had 16 books in it. That's how big the book is. So I am buzzing from that, and it's all a little bit surreal at the moment, actually.
It is, isn't it? Well, we're obviously here to talk about you and your new book, Moxie, how I learned to get more resilient.
That's not the title.
Well, I can't use those words. I'm just far too delicate and I'm too much of a gentleman to use those words. So tell us what the title of tell us your title and subtitle of your book.
I was recently interviewed on the ABC radio, and even they were game enough to say the edited title, I should say. So it's called Moxie, How I Learned to Harden the F Up.
Okay, so F could be a lot of words. It could be how I learned to harden the fruit up, how I learned to harden the
fire truck up,
fridge up, how I learned to harden whatever. But congrats, Justine. It's an awesome achievement. And you and I talked on podcasts before, and a lot of people certainly that have listened to you and me chat know your story, and obviously people that you interview and your podcast know your story. So, but you put it into a book, and it's not just a book, is it? Really, it's an encyclopedia.
Yeah, it turned out a bit bigger than I think both of us planned for it. And if you're watching this on video, you'll see, because here it is, but it's 170,000 words. It's really thick. It's 525.
It's a phone book.
It's like a phone book or a doorstop.
Well, I don't know how you did it, because when did we catch up? You and I caught up last year, towards the end of last year, didn't we?
Yeah.
Because you said, I've got to finish this. And you said, Andrew, can you come and sit with me and slap me and, in a caring, sharing kind of way, that is. And just let's get this thing done. And so I sat with you for a day and a half, and we
only got up to, I think, chapter 18 in that day and a half.
Yeah, we did. But I have to admit, Justine, I just sat there with my jaw on the floor for most of that conversation as you went through your book and what you've been through, what you've endured. And again, people know you. I mean, wow, I look at you today and this graceful, amazing human that you are, what you've been through and how you've been able to transform yourself and your life, and how you've been able to negotiate all of the trauma, all of the abuse, all of the sickness, all of the health challenges, all of the stuff. And here you are today with this new book. It's a testament, really is, Justine, to your strength, your courage, I think you are divinely led. You and I both have a faith, and I really believe that, everything you've got through, you've had the help of God to get you through everything you've got through. But it's your purpose. It's the reason why you're here, isn't it? So you can help people.
It is. Yeah.
So we're going to talk a lot about we're going to talk a bit about your story, obviously. You're going to talk about this new book. I don't know. Look, let's just remind people listening to this, and a lot of them know, but this podcast, by the way, is going to be run concurrently on your podcast and my podcast. So for my audience, probably more so than your audience, why don't you go, just tell us all the stuff you do right now. Apart
Oh,
from being
right now,
an
okay.
amazing author, tell us all the stuff you're doing.
That's probably a shorter version than everything that I've been through.
We'll get to that.
So I am an author, and look, this makes, I think, book number 14, but this is my first big solo book as such. So I've written children's books and I illustrate children's books for other people. I run Morpheus Publishing. I also run Just Art, and we teach art wellness classes for people with disabilities. I've got Geelong Residential Cleaning and Garden Maintenance. I've got Resilience Mindset, which is resilience coaching and consulting, and Justine Martin Speaker, where I do talk my story, talk Moxie, resilience, bouncing forward on stages around the world. And then over the top of that is Justine Martin Corporation, because it's too hard to ring up somewhere and say, hi, it's Justine from Just Art, Morpheus Publishing, Resilience Mindset, Geelong Residential Cleaning and Garden Maintenance, etc., etc.
Oh my gosh. And so what do you do with your spare time?
Spare time. Well, I actually do get spare time. Everyone's like,
That's good. That's amazing.
Fit it all in, and spare time might be, 2 minutes to midnight or something like that. But no, just kidding. I love what I do, that it doesn't feel like work.
Yep.
It's not a drag to get out of bed every day, and I don't sigh, oh, I've got to do this today and I've got to do that and that, because I generally.
What's purposeful, isn't it?
Oh, 100%.
And I think that's a key, isn't it? I mean, I think the people that have to drag themselves out of bed are going to do something that's really not fulfilling for them. They don't enjoy it. They don't feel like they're having a positive impact. And so it's a trudge. And I think for a lot of people listening to this is a really good first message, is and you really truly tap into why you feel like you're here. And I know you have, had this conversation many times before. The hour, you don't mind the hours. You don't mind recording podcasts late at night, or writing first thing in the morning, or going from this to that to the next thing, because everything you're doing is moving you towards that purpose and having that impact on people's lives.
Yeah. And look, my purpose is to give other people hope. They find hope through my story, that with everything that I've been through, that whatever that bad life moment that they're facing is, or that adversity, I don't like to use that word too often, adversity, that, people will inbox me or tell me all the time, I think about what you've been through, what I go through is nothing in comparison. But if you can do it, I can do it. And so just that underlining message on everything that I do, I know that people are watching, people are listening. What's she doing now? What's she got up to next? And I am actually the happiest, and I would dare say nearly the healthiest as well, that I've been in my whole entire life, despite having chronic disease and cancer flare-ups. And I say they're a flare-up because, they'll squash back down again.
Yeah, you certainly had a fair share of challenges for sure. And I know that I've said this to you before, and you slapped me, almost metaphorically slapped me when I said, when I start talking about my little insignificant, seemingly insignificant challenges. And I say, but compared to you, it feels like, and I know you've said to me, Andrew, that's not right and that's not fair, because we all have our challenges. So, I mean, because people listening to this, when they hear your story, when we touch on it, we're not going to have enough time to go through everything, because that's a million-page book that you've just. Hey, how many pages is this? Is Moxie?
525.
525 pages. So it's a compelling story. There's a lot in it. And I know as we're sitting there going through it and you're reading it to me, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, all my problems are so significant. I know. Tell me what you said to me.
Andrew, I don't remember. I've got an acquired brain injury and I don't remember these things.
You made it very clear that everyone's trauma is their trauma, and
it is.
You can't compare and don't minimize your own trauma, whatever you're going through.
Yeah.
It's yours, and it is traumatic, no matter whether it's, you stub your toe.
To you at the time. And it should be validated as well. Because,
it should be.
Yeah, because, when someone validates what you're actually going through, and you share and you have enough courage to share what you're going through, then it lightens the load that little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think when you compare yourself to someone and say, well, I shouldn't complain because of what Justine's going through. Well, then you start getting into the self-deprecation and this negative self-talk, like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just toughen up? And that's not healthy. What is healthy is going, okay, yeah, that's a tough time and I'm not happy and, it's tough. And that's okay because you're right. You've got to validate it. And we all go through tough times, whether it's a cancer diagnosis or whether it's, just an argument with a friend or your partner or whatever. It still can be incredibly traumatic. I remember for me, my trauma that I didn't even know was a trauma at the time was when a teacher said to me, "Why you want your brother?" And I, as a young kid, that's plagued me for much of my life. That belief I'm not good enough.
Mm.
So I can't compare that little statement to some of the stuff you've been through, but at the same time, that has had just a significant impact on my life. So I think that's the message is, we've all got to own ourselves and our trauma, and it's okay, and don't compare. And, we're all amazing and we're all going to go through shit.
Well, I do say in the book, my aunt's favourite saying to me is stay in your own lane.
So
Stay
true.
in your own lane. Just worry about what you're doing. And, that's something I live by now. Other people will be, they might be bagging me out behind the scenes on a Facebook post or something I've said or done or been in the media for. But do you know what? They're not paying my power bill. They're not paying my gas bill. They're not
I'll tell you what.
sitting with me and holding my hand in the next hospital bed. So I just stay in my own lane and
Stay in your own line. And yeah, absolutely. And you've got to ignore all that sort of stuff. Because if you focus on the noise, you will run into it. Free. You will get derailed. If you're looking side to side, if you're looking around, if you're worried about what other people are saying, you'll lose focus on where you're going and what you want to achieve.
Are you loving the podcast so far? Imagine the possibilities if you had Justine Martin guiding you through your writing journey. Whether you're crafting your next big book or perfecting a personal project, Justine's expertise can elevate your work. Don't miss out on the chance to work with a seasoned pro, ready to take your writing to the next level. Message us today and let's make your writing dreams come true.
Now, Justine, you were talking about before, the naysayers and the people that are going to have a little nip at you or a little criticism of you, and it's going to happen to all of us. And I just want to share this little story before we get more into your gem, because I was at a conference recently, and right at the end, it was just this inspiring conference about success and achievement and business and all that kind of stuff. And the last speaker of the day, right at the end, he told the story of the eagle and the crow. I don't know if you've and this is real life. The only bird that is not afraid of movement is a crow. And so what a crow does is it flies while the eagle's at a relatively low height. It will fly and it will attach itself to the back of the eagle and will start pecking and pulling the feathers out of the back of the neck of the eagle. Now, I don't think it's trying to kill the eagle, maybe it is, but it's just, I don't know, it's just being annoying. There's a lot of crows in the world.
Right.
And it pecks and pulls, and this is what the eagle does. Nothing. Doesn't get annoyed by it, doesn't try and get rid of it. It just flies higher and higher. And as the eagle flies higher and the air gets thinner, it gets to the point where the crow can no longer survive up there with the air, and it lets go and falls off the back of the eagle. So the lesson is, or the message is, when you're getting the crows, just keep flying, keep ascending, keep heading towards where you want to go. They will fall off. When we stop and we're distracted by them, when we react to them, when we engage with them, we're giving our power to them. When we fly, and that's what you do. You are the eagle, Justine, and you're flying. So, and I know you've had a lot of crows in your life, for sure. And couldn't be where you are today had you not been the eagle in your life. So, all right. Now, this is a big story. So why don't we just go back a little bit? Why don't you just share the things you want to share about your journey? Because I think it's important for people to understand what you've been through and looking at this human that people are listening to right now and who I see right now, I see it as polished, I see it as professional, I see it as change maker, I see it as inspiration. How you got here, it still baffles me how you got through everything you've been through and to stand so strong and to look so amazing, to be such an incredible human. Why don't you just share a little bit of that early journey with us?
Well, it baffles me at times as well. And writing Moxie took me back in time, as you know, and it was bloody hard at times writing it. It was very confrontational to myself. Put me back into therapy.
Well,
One,
let me ask you this before you say any more. Why did you feel the need to write it?
because I'm a keynote speaker.
Yep.
And I get up and I tell my story, and everyone's like, we want to know more. We want to know more about you. How did you become the person that you are today? And I've always said that there's two parts. There's part one in my story and part two. And part two started in 2011 when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. But that didn't happen until I was 40. So there were 40 years before that made me the person who I am, that had some coping mechanisms already in place to deal with what was the shit show of what was about to come over the last 15 years. From there, not all the coping mechanisms with it, but I had built enough resilience to dig deep.
Yep.
Eventually dig deep
Yep.
and
Yeah,
find that
yeah. You've been
resilience.
through enough that you were able to go, okay, well, this is not ideal, but I know I can get through this because I've got through
Yeah,
all this other stuff to this point in my life.
yeah, yeah. And I became
That's some of the
selfish.
early stuff you
I
had to
wanted
get
to
through.
live. I became selfish. I wanted to live. So,
Yeah.
and I put myself first for a change. And that. So some of the stuff that happened prior to 2011 in the first 40 years, went to live with my grandparents a couple of times because my mum was not a well woman. Um, she had three primary cancers in her life. She was diagnosed with MS. My parents divorced when my brother and I were at a young age. Um, in a space of a very short period of time, which I think you'll have to read in the book, but I think it's about 3-4 months. We went to 3 different primary schools
What? You're 3 months.
in 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So what I considered was normal that other people were going through in their childhood, their teenage lives, apparently wasn't normal on what I was going through. And it wasn't until I was an adult and I sought counselling that my counsellor was sitting there in shock sometimes.
So what would someone I know you can't tell it all. Trust me, guys, listen, she cannot tell it all. You've got 500 odd pages to read it. But what are some of the stuff? So your parents split when you were young. Your mum had to deal with cancer and MS. Tell us some of the stuff you endured as a young person.
Bullying, a lot of bullying through my teenage years, a lack of self-worth all the way through, right up
Where
until
did that stem from, do you think? I mean, obviously you're bullied, but
my mum was a
did you?
narcissist.
Okay, so at home you didn't feel
I didn't
loved
feel
or
loved like I should have felt loved. I don't even remember my mum. I know there's a photo of us sitting on her lap, and that was just after she got us back when she had breast cancer, so I would have been about 3.5. But I don't remember her ever really giving me hugs and telling me that she loved me. From that, my brother could never do anything wrong. I could never do anything right, and that, you know, that started the cycle going through. So not feeling worthy enough.
so what was the response from you with not feeling this love and low self-worth?
I
What
looked for it in
did
the
you do?
wrong
How did that
place.
manifest? How did it manifest in your life?
God. Yeah, you'll read this in the book. I looked for it all in all the wrong places, and had men mentally and physically abuse me for decades.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until one day I went, that's enough. And that didn't happen until through physical domestic violence when I had my arm broken. And he made it all out to be my fault.
What age were you at that point when you were jailbroken?
51.
It's interesting how, and
That's
this is the
before my
power of
first
the
birthday.
power of self-worth, isn't it? You know, it's
Yeah.
incredible how what we start to develop, these beliefs we develop as a young child, simply because we don't know any better. Like, we can only assess the situation based on a very undeveloped brain, and we very quickly come to the conclusion that we're either loved and worthy or we're not. And that will plague people for much of their lives unless they do the work, you
Well,
know.
it's quite
And you
funny. I was doing a talk for the Glen Innes 70th birthday library.
which
Obviously,
is where you were born, right? That's where you grew
no,
up,
I
yeah,
was born in Geelong, but
Okay.
we grew up in Glen Innes, and that's all. It's all in the book. I don't know how many times I've said that lately. It's all in the book, and so I was in Glen Innes. My mum's buried there. My brother still lives on his farm, and I still know a hell of a lot of people in the town, including some of my school teachers. And there was a school teacher who was sitting in the audience, and I shared a few things on what was happening at home with mum, and how hard it was with her, because we're going back to a time where carers never got any support.
Yep.
I was my mum's primary carer, even in high school. And it was difficult. It was bloody hard. And mum had all these symptoms from her MS, and she was horrible to me. And my teacher came up to me and apologized. She was one of my English teachers, and apologized to me that the school had failed my brother and I. She had no idea what we were actually going through on a daily basis, living with a mum who was disabled.
Yeah.
So, that it was nice. It was nice to hear her recognise that. Not that
Yeah.
she could have, done anything at that particular time, but it was nice that she'd come up and recognised and said sorry as well. So, yeah, there's lots of snippets like that throughout the book, and lots of revelations that I've had in life. And I know when
So,
you and I were doing those first 18 chapters, there were a few times I broke into tears, even
yeah.
like with me reading it, and it's like, God damn it, I'm not healed from that yet. And
Well, I don't think you ever are. And I think anyone says, yeah, I'm over that, they lie. I
yeah,
don't think you ever get over a significant trauma in your life. I think what you do is you navigate your way around it and you place it, but I don't think you ever really
well, you learn to live
heal
with it.
from it. You use it. You now using your trauma as this incredible platform to help people, but you ever not get triggered by it? That's an interesting comment, and I'm not even sure that we do as
But
humans.
I don't get triggered by it. I think there's layers to it as well, and you
Yeah,
lock them away and you go on to the next stage in life. And I think that's, with a lot of this, that's what I've done, is I'd locked away these layers, and then reading it, like having to write it first was really hard. And you've been with me with this since
yeah,
like 2020. I
yeah,
started it in 2019, and I really struggled in what to put in to start with. And I can remember having endless conversations with you saying, I don't know what to put in. I don't know what to leave out.
yeah.
It was, everything wanted to go in. What do I leave out when there
You
was
haven't
so
left out much, have you?
pardon?
You haven't left much out, have
Well,
you?
I probably have, because recently I'm like, oh, I didn't put that in. Oh, I didn't
Well,
put
that's
that in.
part two.
How do you put 55 years
Yeah, just one
into
book.
one book?
Yeah, yeah.
And even in, like, there's a timeline on everything that's gone wrong, medical wise, and I'm sure, I'll guarantee you that I've left stuff out of that.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get into the medical stuff, the question I want to ask you is, obviously the subtitle of the book is How I Learned to
Learn to
toughen
harden it up.
harden the fluff up.
Yep.
How did you learn that in that first stage in your life? How did you then start to
Survival.
package, or how did you look at things and know how did you use that to build your resilience?
Survival. It was pure and utter.
But what was happening? I mean, yeah, it was survival, but you were getting stronger at the time. So there's more to it than just survival, because I think a lot of people can survive. They don't necessarily get mentally and emotionally stronger, whereas you got mentally and emotionally stronger. So you did something different. And,
I did.
I'm not sure if you know what it is, but it'd be good to
Mm,
just reflect on
I
it.
do, and I do mention this in quite a bit of detail in the book. And I'm going to contribute it to Amway.
Oh, am I?
I know, I knew you'd like that. Um, yeah, my brother and I, and even mum, like mum and I joined Amway in, I think it was about 1989. I would have been 18 the first time, and I've joined it 5 times. The International Dream Association, or IDA, was a tape of the week and a book of the month.
Yep.
And I was listening to Zig Ziglar at the age of, 18, 19, 20, 21. When my friends were off doing what they wanted to do, here I was sitting there listening to all these motivational speakers and all this positivity and
Yep.
dream building. Like, they were
Yep.
big on dream building. And so I had that foundation always behind me there and wanting that.
So what was your dream, Justine, in that really quite hectic, chaotic time in your life? What were you dreaming of?
I wanted to be financially free, wanted to live in my own home, no mortgage, no debt, have a house cleaner, have a gardener, because you've made it in life when you've got a house cleaner and a gardener. So be very careful what you put out to the world, because I have both of those now, but I had to become disabled to afford to have them for a period of time. Now I could, potentially pay for them myself. But yeah, I just wanted that. I wanted the freedom of choice. I wanted the choice to go into the supermarket and buy the $50 a kilo steak without having to scrimp and save for, the 3-star mints or the 2-star mints.
So it was always a struggle financially, as a child.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I've been homeless or next to homeless a couple of times in my life as an adult with children. And I didn't want that to continue. I didn't want my children to suffer anymore. This was way before grandkids were even twinkles in their eyes.
Yeah.
It's very humbling when you have to walk through the Salvation Army and ask for vouchers to
Yep.
keep the lights on or the heater on. It's very
Yep.
humbling to walk into a food bank and say, I
I
can't
know.
feed my children.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. And in fact, and just as a little side note, as you know, I work with a charity and we feed homeless on a weekly basis. And it was interesting just last night, we were out, I was feeding this homeless and this guy was there and he was leaving before dinner. I said, where are you going? I said, we're just about to serve. He goes, well, I've just been paid, so I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy myself a really nice meal. And I said, well, why don't you save that money and have a beautiful free meal here? And there was, and I think it falls into that same thing. It's that feeling, he's feeling like, well, no, I can afford it now. And there's something about, the strength that comes from knowing, well, I've got the money, I can afford it now. So I don't need to rely on handouts, which a lot of people think is an impact on their self-worth. Every time I have to ask for something, it diminishes me as a human, and there's judgment, and there's no judgment at all. I mean, I'm sure food bank, no one. There's no judgment from other people. It's your own self-judgment.
Your own. Yeah, that's right. But, we're all, and I've always had this in the back of my head as well, we're all only one bad decision away from being homeless or not having money, not having that financial security. And when I was diagnosed with the MS and I had to stop work, I couldn't qualify for Centrelink. My fiance at the time was earning too much money and we were living within our means, but that was on 2 incomes. And when I lost, $65,000 overnight, where did that money then come from?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
didn't. And I had to ask to buy anything for myself and the kids.
But you
And
knew that was temporary, right? And you knew.
not at the time, I didn't. Not at the time. When someone turns around and says to you, you can't work anymore.
Yeah.
When you can't work anymore, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? Because all you're
Yeah.
going to have is time. I went down a very dark hole for about 18 months.
Yeah. Well, hold
And
that thought, Justine, because I think we might have another quick break and come back to your health journey. But
yeah,
I mean, how lucky, and for all the Amway naysayers out there, and there's plenty of them, isn't it good to hear a story? And I've been involved with Amway for many years, and same, it saved me so many times because of the personal development and the community and the association. So for all the Amway naysayers out there, it's an awesome organisation that helps people in need and provides education and personal development. And it's a pretty cool thing. Anyway, we're gonna have another break, come back, and we'll get into the health side of this. And then and look, you deal with health challenges every single day, and even
yeah.
today, I don't know, you can share what happened to you today or not. That's up to you, but it's an ongoing thing. So we want to talk about that and how you navigate that and how you're still able to sit here with a beautiful smile on your face and go, no, I've got a new book. It's about to be launched. I'm excited about the people I can help. And so this is awesome. Justine, let's have a quick break and we'll be back.
Have you ever kept going even when life refused to get easier? Moxie. How I Learned to Harden the Up is a raw, honest memoir about endurance, survival, and the courage to keep showing up when the world doesn't slow down. Written by award-winning entrepreneur, speaker, and disability advocate Justine Martin, and featuring a powerful foreword by Dr. Terere Trent, internationally recognized humanitarian and advocate for women and girls. Moxie is not a story of toxic positivity or neat redemption. It's a truth-telling journey through trauma, illness, loss, and the hard, messy work of building resilience in real life. This memoir shows what it really takes to survive and thrive when life keeps testing you. It's for anyone who has ever felt broken, dismissed, or underestimated. Visit Morpheus Publishing at www.morpheuspublishing.com.au to get your copy today.
Justine, my gosh, 40 years of your life, you've gone through this challenging time with a disabled mum and lacking self-worth and abuse from men and marriages, homelessness. You would think that's enough, right? You would say, okay, well, that's enough trauma. I reckon I'm ready now to just, move on in life. And you probably were getting to that point. And you said, was it 2013, you said?
2011, I was diagnosed.
So it's 2011, just as you probably thought things are starting to look up, then things actually took a massive nosedive, and really it's been quite relentless from a health point of view since then. So tell us about some of the, not all of it, because again, it'll take us 5 hours to go through your whole health profile, but some of the key things. And while you're sharing, you mentioned the MS, how you've been able to really use it in a positive way to help you with your life and to find your purpose and make a difference.
So I was on cloud 9 at the end of 2010. I thought I was in my dream relationship. We were looking at buying a house. I was living in Perth. Everything was smooth, going along really well. And then my body went, girlfriend. Then in March, so it's nearly 15 years. That I was diagnosed with the MS, and then a month later after being diagnosed, like I said, my neurologist told me that I couldn't work anymore. And then I plummeted down this deep, dark hole. And the one good thing that he told me was find a hobby.
Yep.
And after 4 months of going to an art studio, sitting outside crying in the car and driving home without walking in the door, one day I decided to walk in that door. And my whole world changed. So I now live by the what if. What if I hadn't have ever walked in that art studio door? what if I'd let my anxiety really take control of me? Because I felt like Alice in Wonderland slipping down that dark tunnel trying to grip and
Out of
hold
control.
on. Out of
Yeah.
control. How was I ever going to get back up? I was medicated. I was on antidepressants, and life was really, really tough. And to make it worse, my ex-fiance wouldn't let me talk about having MS. He did the whole ostrich in the sand. If we didn't talk about it, it didn't exist. And he worked away 9 days and was only home for 5. And then we moved over here. He had an affair with his boss, and off he went, and turned around and said to me having MS would affect his goals and dreams in life. So I really hit rock bottom until
Gotcha.
one of my cousins turned around and told me to get off my pity party.
Sometimes you
And
need that, don't you?
sometimes, yeah, but at the time, what I didn't realize was I wasn't grieving him. I was grieving the relationship, and I was grieving the relationship that I thought I was going to have with him. Like, we were going to get married. I had my wedding dress. We're under contract by that stage to buy a house that I had to try and get us out of, a $550,000 house, which back then was, around about $1 million
A lot.
house now.
Yep.
And he left us in so much financial debt that's when I had to walk through the food bank and say, I can't feed my
So
daughter.
you now got MS. You've been
Yep.
dumped.
Yeah,
He's had an affair,
yeah.
and they've been
And I'd
left
sold my
with
first
debt.
painting.
And
And I'd sold my
you
first
sold a
painting.
painting.
I did.
Yay! What was the first painting? Tell us about your first painting.
It was a cat. It was a cat. And I put it into the local art exhibition. It sold for $300. And that
That's
felt like $3 million
impressive.
to me, because
Yeah, that's awesome.
that was the first money I'd made in 18 months. And then I put that money back into more art supplies so I could make more art and sell more art, because I'm like, I have a purpose now. Because when I stopped work, I lost my purpose. Now all of a sudden I had purpose again. People liked my art, they smiled at it, and from a cultural perspective, that made me happy. So, and it made me feel whole and complete again. That people would stand at the painting and not see a disabled person that had painted it. They'd just see an artist. And that was important to me at the time. Whereas now, if someone looks at me, it doesn't worry me if they see a disabled person, because, hey, that's what I am.
Because you know who you are.
I know who I am, that's right. So then in 2013 and 14 and 15, my body decided, oh, no, let's pull you back again. And I underwent 3 heart ablations. So 2 pulmonary vein ablations. My resting heart, in layman's terms, my resting heart rate peaked at 217 beats a minute.
Wow.
So
Resting.
not even elite athletes get to that.
No.
So 217 beats a minute. I've been in a lot of ambulances in my time, and that was the first time I'd ever been in an ambulance with the lights flashing and the sirens blaring. The 25 kilometres back into Geelong. And then I had a front wall ablation, so I was missing 1 in every 5 heartbeats, and I got pericarditis after that, and I nearly died. Then I was recuperating, and I went back to weightlifting, I think a month after. No, it must have been 2 months after that third ablation, because I had to wait for the pericarditis to all settle down, which is inflammation of the heart lining. And then I started going purple in 2016, which then led me to being diagnosed with melanoma, then mixed cryoglobulinemia, lividio-reticularis, chronic
My God,
lymphocytic
they're big
leukemia.
words. In other words, that's cancer, right?
Yeah, I had 3 primary cancers and 2
Boy.
blood conditions. And
So you got MS, heart challenges, 3 cancers.
2 blood conditions.
2
And
blood
then
conditions.
I went into
And a
remission.
partridge in a pear tree.
Yeah, actually, the day that I got told that I had cancer and they were looking for the cancer was the day that I got the keys to my new house. And so that was a bittersweet moment. And then 2018 went into remission, but also discovered that I had what's known as painful fat disease or lipedema, and that's genetic. And then I really went down a rabbit warren on, okay, what is lipedema? What does it cause? What are the comorbidities of it? Then 2020, I had my arm broken. 2022, found my last partner, not the one that broke my arm, but another lovely, lovely man,
Yeah.
dead on the floor, which then spiked the mast cell activation syndrome and started investigating even more, and then realized that I'm histamine intolerant, that my body can't handle a lot of histamine. All foods have histamine. So it's just been, one thing
Been
to
relentless. It's been relentless.
and then today, as you
Here we
know,
go. Today, just to top this off,
so
and just as
hey,
a
look,
nice little
last year
cherry on the top.
bilateral cataracts, which
Okay.
I'm waiting on surgery for those. And then last year, and then today, I went in because I've had a bit of a spot on my back. I get 12 monthly checkups for the melanoma, and went in October last year, and he burned a few things off me, and then went in today, booked the appointment on Monday, went in today, and I'm like, oh, this thing on the back that's bleeding. And he looked and it was a form of keratosis, which happens when you get old, your skin. He goes, well, I don't like that spot that's in the middle of your back. Let's do a biopsy on that. And he looks and he's taken photos, and I've got photos of it. And he goes, you've got BCC, which is basal cell carcinoma. So I've got bloody skin cancer.
Skin cancer.
And so that means I've had 4 different types of cancer.
Well,
Have you ever thought about writing your own book? Join the Morpheus Publishing Writing Group program and turn your dream into reality. Contact Morpheus Publishing today and start your journey to becoming a published author.
so Justine, here we are. We're recording a podcast on a day you've just been diagnosed with skin cancer.
Yeah.
And you're as upbeat and you're as positive as ever. And I know you're a little bit flat about it, but how do you, this is a key question here, how do you keep yourself up when, you've reeled off dozens of challenges you've had with your health, diagnoses and challenges and stuff. How do you keep yourself up? How do you keep yourself moving forward? How do you keep yourself learning from these situations so that it just happens time and time again?
I have a choice. And, this is what we spoke about before we came on air, because you asked me if I wanted to reschedule. And I'm like, no, I don't. Let's do it now. I have a choice whether I want to sit in the corner and rock over this and go, oh, woe me and poor me and be on that pity party. Or I can go, okay, well, let's deal with this. And dealing with it was, all right, do the biopsy, take a chunk of my skin out. I'm booked in on the 9th to get those results. And he said, and we'll discuss what our next steps are going to be. And I would much rather know that we're being proactive in it, in dealing with it, than the bad cells eating away my back. And then it gets to the point where nothing can be done about it. So, I exercise 5 days a week. I drink copious amounts of water. I watch what I eat. I look after my mind. I look after my body. I do absolutely everything I possibly could do to have the quality of life that I want to have.
And I know you also get help. You're a big one for getting help and support in every area of life.
Yeah, because you can't
mentors, coaches, doctors, therapists. So you surround yourself with people that can, because you can't work it out all on your own, particularly when you're going through so much challenging stuff. You need that external help and support, and you're very open to that, which I think is incredibly inspiring and clever.
And if you don't like someone in your support network, well, then chop them off. I had a doctor that once told me when I was going purple not to worry about it, come back in 4 months if it was still happening. And I didn't like that answer. And it's like, there's a lot of medical gaslighting in
Sure
the
is.
book, even though I don't actually list it as medical gaslighting. There was. And it's like, well, where we live in Australia, we have the choice to go to a different medical practitioner. And that's what I've done. And I've surrounded myself with this
And there's some
really
good ones out there, isn't there?
Yeah, there are. And also, good friends and family around me, because you can't build resilience without asking for help. You can't do
No.
it by yourself. You need that support network
Yeah.
around you, and that you are the sum of the 5 people that you hang around is so true. So if you're
Yep.
hanging around with negative people all the time, well, then that
You
is
will be negative. You have to be, don't you? Okay, so I've got 2 final questions before we wrap up, Justine. And,
Yep.
I think an important question, because a lot of people, and, this is where I've spent a lot of my time right now. I'm a big proponent of the saying that you do what you do because of what you think of you. And a lot of people don't do what you've done because they don't value themselves. They don't think highly of themselves. They don't have that identity of someone who's not just a survivor, but a thriver and an overcomer. And that is clearly who you are. So how did you build that? Not just resilience, because I think this is different to resilience. Build that inner Justine,
is
that
Moxie.
person that you love, that Moxie. How did you build that?
So we should actually give the definition of what Moxie means. Because I don't
I love
think
the
we've
word. It's a great word. Isn't it? I love that
It
word.
is a great word. So Moxie means grit, determination, courage, resilience, passion, all rolled into one. Look, I think a lot of it came from seeing other people thrive on the things that, I developed the 10 top tips of resilience. And when I put that out there and seeing people thrive and cope and better their lives, that then spurs you on to go, okay, well, what's next? What can I do? What can I put out there to help others? And it's all about helping others in every single one of the businesses that I've now got. And what I do generally in life is help others. And I get told off all the time because I'm either too cheap or I'm giving things away for free.
You do a lot for people. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But you know what? If that's part of your Moxie strategy, then keep doing it. I mean, if that's what lights you up,
It makes
I
me
think
feel good.
it's that that's part of your identity. You do what you do because of what you think of you. Well, if your cup's overflowing, if you've got slots to give, you'll give.
This is
You'll
like
give.
Morpheus Publishing at the moment. One of our core beliefs and what we do is for every able-bodied person that we take in and publish gives us the capacity then to either offer a half or full scholarship to a person with disabilities to publish their work.
Yeah,
And that's a driving force in helping people who normally wouldn't have a voice in society. I've just become, I'm volunteering on the City of Greater Geelong's Disability and Inclusion Council. Again, and this stems back to something that my mum used to say to us is, if you don't like something, stand up in the world and try and change it.
Well, that's a good thing you got from your mum.
Yeah, it is. And mum was not an evil woman.
No, she was not.
She was the product of the circumstances that she was brought up.
We all are. We all are, aren't we?
Yeah, that's right. And you'll read in the book about my forgiveness to mum. And, when I go back to Glen Innes, I go and visit her and take chocolate bars to her and pop them on her grave and stuff like the quirky stuff like that. But yeah, when you have such a passion to help other people and a purpose to help other people, then it does make it easier to cope with everything that you've got. Because the focus isn't about me. It's not about
take the focus off yourself.
I'm taking the focus off myself. Even though today I did a live stream on about getting diagnosed, but with this last skin cancer, and it's like I ended it with and said several times in that live stream, go and have your skin checked. When was the last time you had your skin checked? And I know that there'll be people that'll hear that message because I have, a fairly good social media following now, that will go and
get the skin check.
Yeah, and I get inbox. Thank you. You saved my life.
And I'm sure someone listening to this will now go and get the skin checked.
Yeah.
So, Justine, this is an awesome conversation and we could talk and keep talking, but we won't. One last question. What would be one thing on your heart that you want to say to people right now?
Don't give up. There is always something around the corner.
Yeah.
Don't give
Love
up.
that.
Ask for help. Ask for help. Don't give up. You don't have to walk this alone. They would be, and life will look pretty bloody hard at times, but there's always happiness as well. Like, we don't get from birth to death all being happy, and we don't get from birth to death all being sad. It's a roller coaster.
It is a roller coaster, but we need those challenges because that's what helps us become the person that we are. So don't shy away from the challenge.
We don't grow in the happy
into the challenge. Yeah, exactly.
We never grow in the happy times. We grow out of the adversities that we're actually.
Yeah. So that's why you're such a happy person. So, Justine, book, Moxie, How I Learned to Harden the
F.
Up. How do people get it?
Look, they can go on Morpheus Publishing .com.au. They can go on justinemartin.com.au and we'll send it out, or it is available on all major online bookstores as well.
Good thing about writing a book and owning a publishing company, it makes life a lot easier. You're not going to get rejected by the publisher, are you?
Which is quite funny you say that, because when
You nearly rejected yourself?
Well, when I picked the title of the book, my auntie was like, you can't call it that. And I'm like, why can't I? I can call it anything that I want. If Mark Manson can call his The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, then I can call mine Moxie, How I Learned to Harden the F Up.
Absolutely.
And I said to her, besides, I know the publisher, it'll be fine.
Yeah, she's okay with it. Justine, thank you so much for sharing. And you've had a day and a half today, I know, but the fact that you're sitting here having this conversation with me is, again, a testament to the incredible human that you are and the impact you're having on lives. So thank you so much and good luck with Moxie. I know it'll do wonderfully well.
I just say that the book is not all doom and gloom.
I know that.
It is not all doom and gloom. There are some highlights in there as well. And I just want to thank you, Andrew, for holding my hand the last 6 years. And there were lots of tears in the middle of it all as well, when I'm like, I don't think I could do this, and what are you doing, and what do I think I am, and all of that. So
same stuff we all go through, but again, you went into it, you pushed through it, and here we are on the other side. There's always another side. You always get to the other side, and you're here now, and now the exciting time, fun starts.
And I've already started the next book, so look out. So
awesome.
Thank you, Andrew, for joining us today on the Morpheus Publishing Author Spotlight as well.
And thank you for joining me on the Wellness Puzzle podcast.
You're welcome. Until then, till next time, everyone, happy reading.
See ya.
We hope you enjoyed the Resilience Mindset podcast. Remember to subscribe to the podcast to get your weekly fix listening to Resilience Queen Justine Martin. Follow Justine on social media at Resilience Mindset or log on to justinemartin.com.au. And until next time, remember, life doesn't get easier or more forgiving. We get stronger and more resilient.